Ready? Here we go. Hi everybody, Dan Barwick again for Paradise Ridge. We're in the vineyard this time. My stay-in-place companion today is Nagasawa Chardonnay. Here we go, Annette. We are in the Nagasawa Chardonnay vineyard too. So this is one of my favorite vineyards to work with. And it's been one of my pet project Chardonnay. It comes in so many guises, so many different ways. And Chardonnay is always ready there to please, as this will too. We are at our estate in the Russian River Valley, which is a cool climate, and particularly this evening, we'd expected a much warmer evening, but here we are in the shrouded, cold, drizzly weather, which is really what the Russian River is all about. It stays cold, and that's what makes it essential for growing these wonderful fruits and then maintaining their more delicate qualities and maintaining the acid. And you need that cold climate to do that. And that's really where Chardonnay is really a special place for growing this fruit. Wonderful, wonderful. There are going to be two Chardonnays that we're going to try with you tonight. There's something called Vineyard Select, which some of you may have, and there's the Nagasawa. They're both made me in a very, very similar style. The Nagasawa, which I have now, is from here. The other one, the Vineyard Select, is from another vineyard in Sebastopol and has a much more different acid texture to it. But let's just talk about the Nagasawa Chardonnay here. Always have this wonderful pineapple, dried pineapple quality, which really is a consistent thread. Beautiful sort of lemon lime color. Follows through to the palate with some citrus on here. Really, what I'm trying to do is express the vineyard in the wine, and how we do that is creating balance. If you look at the vineyard now, we're in spring, and it looks just absolutely wonderfully vibrant. We farm organically here at Paradise Ridge. We're working on being sustainable. We are sustainable too, sorry. And as you see behind me, there's some sheep, and we use sheep in our vineyards to do the work that mowers and other mechanism would do. We don't use herbicides, so we've introduced sheep into our vineyards to eat those weeds and make it more and more a natural place to be. Biodiversity is what we really want. So we want everything from the raptors in the skies and the predators in the woods here. So there are occasions when I'm actually not top of the food chain in the vineyard, and that's something to be considered when I'm wandering through on my own. The difference between the two Chardonnays is the Nagasawa, they're both going through partial malolactic. There's more acid in the pedas, so it goes through slightly more malolactic to soften and balance that out. And in the Nagasawa, there's less malolactic fermentation, so we're keeping that balance and freshness and crispness on the palate, which is what I'm really looking for. We want that to set this character in the wine to be very well paired with foods, different foods. We're today having some charcuterie and cheese as we are in the vineyard. Shellfish, fish with cream sauces, all of that is just going to be absolutely fantastic with this wine.
Well, let's go ahead and try a little of the charcuterie that we have
Look at this, folks.
together.
This is living.
This is living in the vineyard, featuring journeyman meat in Healdsburg and Valley Ford cheese in Valley Ford. How's that for a pairing?
That's wonderful. I'm so happy. Look at you guys. Look at me. I'm so happy.
You should be jealous. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Now more about, more about the Chardonnays. This is a 2016, so it's had some nice bottle age, and these different characters are coming out now. It's very, very complex, easily balanced, easy to drink, and that's what we want this wine to be easy to drink. But when you have food with it, something else happens. The magic happens, and that's really what we really, really strive for here at Paradise Ridge. Complexity, balance, keeping those alcohols in check so that we can drink that extra glass without being impaired. And we don't want that, do we?
Maybe a little bit. We have a question coming in from Madeline. Where does the Nagasawa come from?
The name Nagasawa is a very good question. Comes from Kana Nagasawa, who was a winemaker for the Fountain Grove winery in the earlier part of the 20th century. and earlier to that. He was a pioneer in grape growing in Sonoma County and was actually known as the Grape King. He also has a rich history here in the county, and if you look up the history of Fountain Grove Winery and Kana Nagasawa, it will take you down a little rabbit hole that will make you raise your eyebrows more than once as you learn the history of his connection with what's going on here in Sonoma County. So the rain is coming in now, and it's quite unexpected, but here I'll persevere through for you, drinking my Chardonnay. Might need a splash more, as my assistant may come and find me. So I heard a question. I gave you a little teaser about how much beer it takes to make good wine. Well, I got together some of the serious culprits in this area, and we had many a conversation, but we got a little confused, and we lost most of our data. So I'm going to have to get back to you on that beer spectrum, but there will be an answer here pretty soon coming to you. Annette, did you say something?
I do. Deborah has joined the conversation. She's loving seeing us in the vineyard. Deborah, I'd love for you to join us in the vineyard. It's getting a little rainy. This is what we love about our Sonoma County weather. You never know what's going to come next. I think the vines are enjoying it, but I think for Dan, I might provide a hat.
Oh, that's the hat. Come in. Look at that, folks. And now let's go back a little bit to more of the growing practices here at Paradise Ridge. So as I said, we farm organically. We don't use any herbicides at all, which means we don't use any Roundup. And we do, in doing so, we create what's called biodiversity, which means there's a lot more of the animals that have always lived here are living in the soil. And if above the soil is healthy, then underneath the soil is even more so. And that is the key to growing naturally as we are. We want that thriving life underneath the soil, and that feeds the vine. And the healthier the soil, the less we have to do on top of the soil. So these vines are pretty special and unique, because we are trying to grow them to specifically present this vineyard in the bottle. And every step we take means a little bit more. So taking care of the soil, taking care of what's our environment, caring and being sustainable is so important.
So we have a question from one of the viewers, and they'd like to know, what does the rain do for the vineyards right now?
Right now, well, we're just about to go into the flowering process here. And here we have the canes and the little buds are right there. And soon they will be flowering. If we have a heavy rain during the flowering season, it may not be good. It means that we won't have the right amount of fruit that we expected, which takes the vines a little bit out of balance. But growing grapes, growing anything really is all about taking what Mother Nature delivers to you. And we're ready. We may have to do, if it rains consistently and heavily throughout the season, may have to do more sprays, but these are all organic sprays. So nothing is being residual or kept on the vines. We are really, really caring every step of the way we go.
We have people really enjoying the sheep in the background, the sounds of them.
The sheep is one of my loves of moving forward and being more sustainable in the vineyard, and having living animals doing the job in the vineyard is really something special and unique, and fills my heart that I'm doing the right thing. It really does.
That's fantastic. So there's a question about the vineyards themselves. And is that a new vineyard in the back of you?
That's right. Yes. We are in the Chardonnay vineyard, and this is our newly planted Chardonnay vineyard that we put in. We have selected some specific clones, or a specific clone for here that goes all the way back to Burgundy, which is the home of Chardonnay. And this clone that we're going to be using here came to the United States through Paul Masson, a pioneer of also drinking quite a bit of good California wine. And he bought this fruit for a gentleman called Martin Ray, who cultured a vineyard in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And it's called the Mount Eden clone from the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Oh, I have a question I'm excited to provide an answer for.
Yes, please
This
do.
is a question coming in from the viewer. Is your wine club the best way to obtain wine, or do you ship directly to consumer? We absolutely ship directly to you, but if you do want to join our club, there are so many wonderful benefits to you. We do absolutely welcome our extended family members to come on, join in, and have some fun with us.
That's right. While we're in this moment of stay in place, we need to ship wine to you. We now have a pickup. The world is changing, and I think the way that we work together, us making the wine and presenting it to you, is all going to change, and it's pretty exciting. I couldn't ever have dreamed I'd be doing this in a million years, but here I am having good fun, and this is an exchange phenomena. Could I have a splash more, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, I'm
back to the history of Chardonnay. Chardonnay originates in Burgundy, France, and is now one of the most planted varietals across the planet. It thrives in cooler climates, but does very well in slightly warmer climates, and presents a very different beast, as the styles do itself. In Burgundy, there are incredible qualities taken from or presented in specific vineyards that cannot be mirrored anywhere else on the planet. And so every vineyard presents a different facet of what can happen. Chardonnay is also what they call a winemaker's grape. Is that once the fruit is picked and in the winery, we can do all sorts of different things to this to present this wine in different characters. We can do all the juice goes through fermentation. There are a myriad of different yeasts we can use to present different facets of what comes out in that fruit. We can do stainless steel fermentation. We can use French oak barrel fermentation, bringing in different characters too. There's a bacteria that is on this planet. It's called a malolactic bacteria, and its sole job is to eat malic acid and turn it into lactic acid, which changes the acid in the wine from being apple to sort of milk. So it richens up the character. It's a real mystery how this bacteria appeared and played such a great role in winemaking. If you consider that the planet we've been making and drinking wine for, say, we'll give it 10,000 years, this bug was hanging out forever and ever, waiting for wine to arrive for a job to do. And it plays a different role in every single wine, and depending on the balance of the different acids in the wine. I'm going to have to have a little tip of this more because I'm getting a little dry here.
We're getting some wonderful comments and some wonderful fans out there of our wines, in particular the Chardonnay. There was somebody who adores the Nagasawa Chardonnay for 27 years.
Wow.
And can I pick up a case? Absolutely. Absolutely. We are here for you in whichever format it is easiest for you to get that case.
Well, fantastic.
To you while you are sheltering in place. And then we have a foodie here who is pairing the Chardonnay with Asian basa fish. I love basa filet. And they are, the Chardonnay is into the salad dressing. Great job.
Wow. No, I don't use too much in that salad dressing, otherwise you'll run out of wine.
we can get them some more bottles.
We can indeed. Yeah, just getting back to the food thing. This wine I had the other day or two ago with some fish tacos. So it really stands up to some salsa, some spicy characters, and other characters that we will never imagine that Chardonnay would be there.
We have a question about the sheep. What do the sheep do for the vineyard?
Well, the sheep eat the grasses and the weeds underneath the vines, and what they're doing is they're eating the vegetation and putting nitrogen back into the soil. So it's a very, very sustainable way of eating weeds. We're also growing a produce in the vineyard while the sheep are in here, and that's a very important thing too. So it's a double win. We're having the sheep in the vineyard, working and putting more energy back into the soil. Also, we're preparing them as a food source. don't think about it too much, but just bucolic and lovely.
That might play a role in the beautiful foliage on the vines.
It would do, and it really is. And the importance of looking after the soil is very, very important. And if you can do it as naturally as possible, then I think that comes through into the finished wine. I really do.
Isn't that a statement? You make great wine in a vineyard, not in a lab.
We do. I think it really is. The vineyard is the most crucial thing, and I've been given the most wonderful luxury in a dream job is to work in the vineyard and direct that vineyard to make a wine, which I can then present in a bottle, and that's living. Anyhow, I think we're nearly done here.
I think we're nearly done here.
I want to say thank you to all of us for joining in, and I'm going to see you in another glass very soon. Cheers.
Well done. Great exit. Well done.
It was getting a little dry.
It was getting a little